Greetings and salutations from sunny Philadelphia. I just want to make a little update video, and I'm going to make sure that the sound is a little better than it was before. I've been busy. We just got a new dog named Emmy. She's a pit bull and a Frenchie mix, so we've been taking care of her. But I definitely wanted to give you guys a little update and also do a little rewind on everything with the poppies that we went over in previous videos. Ooh, that sucks. In previous videos, so we can kind of just rewind for a minute for the people who might have missed the first video. Hopefully it'll be done in a minute. I think they're only drilling like 1 or 2 holes. Looks like they're installing a camera system. So I'm going to give you a look at, here, let me clean this up a little bit. There we go. I'm going to give you a look at the garden. Here's some poppies that I transplanted that are looking a little sad, but they're going to survive. You can see they got a little bit of yellowing to them. And the way that you transplant poppies is not easy. You can't just pull them out of the ground. You actually have to transplant them in clumps. And what you want to do is you want to dig out a big area like this, you know, something that's about 18 inches deep, maybe even 2 feet deep. And then once you dig that out, you want to also dig your poppies out. So for example here, I have these right here, and you can see these are all in the shade, and they're not going to live. You know, they're going to live. They might produce some poppy, some pods and some flowers, but they're just not going to be as strong. They're not going to be as big. So, for example, you can take a clump like that that's unthinned, and you can take that and dig down 18 inches into the ground, and then you can move that clump over to another area. Wait until they're healthy again, and then thin them out. Now, out of this one, I might only get 3 or 4 healthy poppies, but that's 3 or 4 more than what I had when I started. So that's the way I'm looking at things. The more you can preserve each season, the better. So here's my actual poppy garden, guys. It was bigger, but I had to surrender a little bit to Emmy, our new dog. And as you can see, I have a lot of poppies. I'd say I have between 200 and 300 viable poppies. And as you can see over here, let me try to get in here a little bit. There we go. As you can see, I still have some that I haven't thinned out yet because they're just not that big yet. But for the most part, I'm pretty thinned out. And as you can see, they're growing pretty big. If you look at these are about, that one right there is probably about the size of a 45 RPM right there. That's the only example I could think of. But here's the other side of my garden right here. And not quite as thick, and smaller poppies for sure. And there you go. As you can see, I have a good amount going. Like I said, 200 to 300. And for the people who are just tuning in, some of these aren't thinned out yet. I'm waiting until they get a little bit bigger. But for those of you who don't know how the process goes, basically what you want to do, wherever you live, you want to try to get these poppies, the poppy seeds, you want to sow them. So you don't have to plant them. They don't have to go under the ground. They don't have to have any soil on top of them. If you're afraid they're going to blow away or blow to a part of the garden you don't want them to, you can throw a little tiny bit of soil on the top. But it is essential that they get in the ground at least 5 weeks before the last frost. You want them to have that period so they can go through that frost and thaw. And that's going to harden them off. That's going to stratify them. And that's what's going to make them grow really good in the spring. That's what's going to make them grow tall and great. And that's exactly what I did this year. I managed to get them in about 5 weeks before the last frost. Actually, only about 4 weeks, to be honest with you. About 5 weeks. And they really took off. And if it's your first time planting these things, your confidence level is going to be low. You're probably going to plant a shit ton of them just to make sure that your poppies do come up. But as you can see, from my experience, guys, I have an absolute ton of poppies everywhere. So, you know, you don't have to worry about it. And if you want to get them thinned out ahead of time while you're planting them, you can do 3 parts sand, like a play sand, to 1 part poppy seeds. And what that'll do is, you mix them together. What that'll do when you're sowing them, it'll spread them out a little more instead of having the huge clumps. Because, I did the same thing this year. I wasn't confident. And now, I still have some thinning to do over here. A lot of thinning to do on this side. This side's pretty well thinned. I still got a little bit of thinning to do over here and over in that area right there. So you can do that also with the sand. And I even have some that grew in these pots. I also have sunflowers in these pots. Here's some over here, more sunflowers. I got some wildflowers going over here. But at this point, if you're starting with the kind of soil type that you want it to be, it doesn't have to be the richest kind of soil, but I did use compost along with peat. I basically did 2 parts peat to 1 part compost and 1 part play sand. So 50% peat, 25% compost, and 25% sand and perlite. Let's just do 12.5 and 12.5 for that. So you have 4 ingredients going in there, and it doesn't really matter what you use. You just want your stuff to be really well draining. You want the water to be able to run away. You don't want your roots to get too waterlogged, but you also want your roots to be able to get very deep down in the ground. And the better you are at tilling your soil ahead of time is going to dictate how good and how strong your poppies come up. And if you did a really good job and your roots are able to go really, really deep in the ground, it's really going to aid you in not having to stake plants later on. So, you might still have to stake them, but not as many as you would. So keep that in mind, guys. So one of the other mistakes, besides sowing too many, and besides sowing too late, because most people don't know if they've never dealt with any kind of poppy seed or any kind of poppy growing, they don't know that you have to stratify the seeds. You don't have to technically, but it's going to give you a head start, and they're going to grow a lot stronger. But besides not stratifying the seeds and not putting them in the ground 5 months ahead of time, and besides not thinning them out ahead of time by putting the sand in the soil, another mistake you can make is you see them growing and they're doing great, but you want to see your flowers, and you think to yourself, well, why won't I give it a little fertilizer? Maybe it'll help push it along. So this year I made that rookie mistake, and it was a pretty bad rookie mistake. I got some fish emulsion. It came in a gallon container, and it was supposed to be, I had it figured out to about 8 fluid ounces of fish emulsion to 2.5 gallons of water. And the reason I used 2.5 gallons because it was a half of a 5-gallon bucket, just so the bucket wouldn't be too heavy and it would be an easy measurement for me. So that was not even full strength, the way that I made it for the fish emulsion. So it was not full strength. I watered it. I watered it like a foliar feed. I basically used my watering can over here that you see. I used that, and I dumped the mixed up fish emulsion into the watering can, and then I came out here and just watered on top of everything. I made sure I did it at night. Immediately, I could see that the leaves were soaking up and they were getting brown from the fish emulsion. So I immediately kind of knew, this might be bad. This might be a really bad case of fertilizer burn. So what I did is for the next 3 days, I did end up flushing them, and I saw a ton of brown leaves. I lost some babies. I'm trying to see if there's any sign of it left. There's really not. These things are really warriors. Like, they're absolutely gorgeous. They look like little cabbage or lettuce when they're growing. They got a really nice light green, but they're really warriors. And right now there's no sign. But I'd say I probably lost about 10% of my seedlings, which thank God it wasn't a big loss for me, but it could be a big loss for you if you make that fertilizer too strong or you fertilizer too quickly. Now, the size that they are now, Some of them are about the size of a softball or a little bigger. Others are the size of about a baseball. The size that they are now, you do not need to fertilize, especially if you have 25% organic. I did other kind of fertilizing with this when I amended the soil and when I used the tiller. I put some bat guano in there, and I really did the soil up because I wanted it to be great. I wanted I wanted the poppies to have plenty to get them to flowering. So, anyway, wait until they're about twice as big as these now. So maybe they're sitting up to your knee and they're starting to bolt. Bolt means that they're starting to stand upright and they're starting to grow straight upward. That means they're preparing to flower. They're getting ready to flower. So if you see them knee high, make a nice weak fertilizer. It doesn't have to be very strong. And you can go on the poppy forums. Charlie Poppy is a great guy to follow on Facebook. Opium Gardening 101 is the one that I prefer. There's another group that has some seed sellers in it that I really don't like. They ban everybody in there, including me, for anything. So I prefer Opium Gardening 101 because, first of all, I am growing an opium poppy. This is a bread seed poppy, opium poppy, Papaver somniferum. So that's what I prefer. So that's where I go. It's not the biggest group, but we have a lot of support in there. When you post something, somebody's going to answer you back eventually. It might not be in your time, but you'll get an answer back eventually. And also, I have a group called Poppy Seed Buy Sell Swap on Reddit. We're just getting that group started, and I will be doing giveaways probably starting in August, I'm guessing, with my pods and with my seeds that I grew from this garden right here. So yes, I am banking on these poppies surviving and having a very nice harvest, even though I don't know, and this is my first year. But I'll be honest with you guys, I did read for 3 years before I started growing these. So, that's something that you want to do. I'm not saying read for 3 years and become a monk on poppy seeds, but you definitely want to take a few months before the growing season and really dive in. There's some great literature out there, really good literature out there. And I'll talk about them once I remember what they are. But yeah, there's a lot of great literature to read out there. Some of it has gotten people jailed. But so let's go into the legality of poppy seeds. Poppy seeds are legal to grow as long as you do not score the pods. And when I say score the pods, that means after the flower falls off and the pods start to swell. Probably, I'm guessing from what I read, about 10 days after the flower falls off, give or take, depending on rain and other factors, is when people score the poppies. And what they do is they take something sharp. One of the ways that I've seen them made is they put razor blades between pieces of balsa wood and they alternate. Blade, balsa wood, blade, balsa wood, blade, balsa wood. So it makes a 3-blade thing with a handle, and they just go from the top of the pod and score it along the curve. And that's usually done early in the morning, from what I understand. Or, I'm sorry, usually that's done like when the sun goes down, and then early in the morning they collect it, from what I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that would be illegal to do in the United States. You cannot collect the sap for the opium. So if you're growing these, you're growing them for the seeds, and you're growing them for the decorative pods. So just keep that in mind, guys. Don't score your pods unless you live on private property. Then you can do whatever you want. So I got a fence, so that's the first thing I did. I knew I was growing an opium garden, so the first thing I did was put this fence up and made sure that I had some privacy, because it's just like my dog. My dog's a pit bull mix. People see it and right away they judge and they think that the dog might be mean, but my dog's the biggest sweetheart in the world. She is the best. She loves kids. She loves other dogs. She's very submissive to cats even. So, that's just something that people assume. And it's the same thing with poppies. You know, when people see anybody growing an abundance of poppies, they may feel like you're growing them for nefarious purposes, when of course we're growing them just for the decorative pods or for the seeds and for the beautiful flowers. I cannot wait to post some photos of these flowers this year. Whenever they come up, that's going to be absolutely amazing. So I'm super looking forward to that. Ooh, it's hot out today, guys. Very hot. I'm losing my hair. I'm getting old. Woo. All right. So here, hold on. Let me fix this here. There we go. Gotta cut some of this off too, guys. So anyway, that's about it for the poppy garden. At this point, you just want to make sure. Okay. One of the things I can go back is when they are very young, you want to make sure they stay watered, and you want to water them with a soft setting if you're watering them with a hose. Better yet, if you have a small area, or if you have the time and the bald spots or whatever to, you know, you see how I did mine. I tried to do rows, but the wind just blew them everywhere. So since the wind blew the poppies everywhere, there was no rhyme and reason to my rows. I even laid out sticks with all the different places where I got my pods and that I got my seeds from this year. But it just didn't work out that way. Next year, what I plan to do is make a little bit of a raised mound for each row, and then I'm going to go down the middle and make a V shape. And I'm going to plant my poppy seeds in that V shape. And I'm going to put the smallest amount of dirt over them, and I'm hoping that's going to be enough to where the wind can't blow them all over the place, because they're sitting in that V where they're protected like a lee, like from the wind. So that's what we're hoping for next year. But yeah, when they're small, what you want to do is you want to really make sure you're being careful when you're watering them. And you never want to let the soil dry out, because when they're small, that root is basically on the surface of the soil. And you'll kind of see about this much of the root, and you'll be like, what's the matter? Why is my poppy just laying on its side? Well, that's pretty normal when they're just starting out. They're just going to be laying on their side. They're going to look very fragile, and you're going to see a very skinny root. You don't have to bury that little part of the root. You don't have to do anything except keep it watered. And what's going to happen is, as that poppy grows to be larger, let me see if I can give you a little example over here. As that poppy begins to grow, as you can see now, look at that. There is nothing left at this point above the ground. That root has managed to get its way deep underground. And here's one that didn't go all the way under. And as you can see here, let me try to move some stuff out of the way here. As you can see, hopefully you can see anyway, part of the root right past my index finger, part of that root is still sticking out of the ground, and that's fine. You know, when you have that, that might just be a poppy that you have to stake up later on in its life. But as these roots mature, they're going to get more girth to them, and they're going to go further under the ground. They're going to search deep, and the deeper you water, the deeper you're going to encourage them roots to grow. So every time you water, you want to go deep. You don't want to just spray the surface of the soil until you see that it's a darker color. Like, you want to really get in there with something. Right now I'm using soaker hose, and I got to fix my soaker hose. I've been very lazy with it. It's not even flowing as good as it can because it has kinks in it. So I have to keep it on for longer than I would like to. But I tend to use a soaker hose because I like to leave it on for a couple hours and really let that soak down into the soil deep, because I want them roots to be reaching down at least 18 inches into the ground and really having a nice anchor for when that plant starts bolting and going upright. So that's just something to keep in mind. But anyway, guys, let's just move on. I'll show you what I got going on. Some great companion plants that you can plant on the edge of your poppy garden are sunflowers. And I got a few sunflowers growing right here. I'm actually going to plant more today. I probably started around April 10th putting seeds in the ground. And I'm going all the way to now. It's the beginning of May. It's May 2nd. By the way, guys, I'm in Zone B. I'm in Philadelphia, so you know, I try to keep things. I try to talk about things relative to the last frost or the first frost, to kind of keep things. And like I said, you want to plant the poppies. You always want to get them in 5 weeks before your last frost in spring, so they can get nice and chilly and really, really sprout great for you guys. So anyway, like I said, I got some more. Look, I went all the way up to this pillar, and then I stopped. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go all along here where these poppies are, and all along here and plant some more sunflowers today. It looks like I got a sunflower coming up right there. So I don't know. Maybe I did plant over here, but I'm going to plant more because who doesn't like sunflowers? And you know, they're one of the nicest flowers to come up. They got a huge flower. They're nice and yellow, orange, red. I put all different kinds of colors in this year. And they're really going to pop in late summer, and that's when you want to see some flowers, because honestly, this lavender is going to be gone. This white flower is going to be gone by then. You know, these flowers are okay, but once it gets above like 85, you really got to watch them. And if you have hanging baskets, you always want to just lift them up. If they feel very light, they need a ton of water. You want to keep them nice and heavy when you lift them up. And right now this is a little dry, and I will give it a little water later. Here's some cacti, guys. I don't know if you guys are interested in cacti, but here's some of my loafs. And they're doing okay. This is the first year that they're out. Here's some babies that I'm trying to grow. They're adjusting to the sunlight. Here's some etiolated. They have major they have major etiolation right now, which means that they're reaching for the sun. They look like little chodes down there. And then here's my grandfather with the spiralis. This is what we think is due to a certain way that they cut it and they scar the loaf. And there's some of my willies. You can see they're pretty dirty and gutted and old and crappy looking, but they really started to soak up that water and they're feeling nice and firm. So what I'm going to do, I'm probably going to end up covering these the next few days because we're supposed to get a lot of rain. Then I got another little pretty flower over here. Don't ask me what they are, but they seem to be growing well. I pulled them away from the wall so they can get a little bit of water. Yeah, it's almost like a cactus soil I put them in. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. I think I ran out of soil. Now here's a cool one for you guys that you might like. This is loofah. And I got 3 loofahs coming up right now, which is impressive. So basically what a loofah is a loofah sponge. The thing that looks like that long sponge that has 3 holes in it that I always thought grew from the sea. No, they grow into a fruit on a vine. And what you do is you take it inside or outside, whatever, and you sit there and you squeeze it and you put water through it, and all that's left is them hard veins. And that's where a loofah sponge comes from. They're all natural. So I did get these from Baker Creek this year. I don't know if you guys know the hippie guy on Baker Creek, but he's pretty awesome. And he sold me a lot of seeds this year just from his advertisements. So we got some hydrangea coming up here. Got some hens and chicks that are hanging in there. I got some azaleas. They're not doing too great this year because it's their first year in the ground. But they're surviving, and that's all that counts. I got these really cool 4-leaf clover, oxalis. If you've never had these bulbs and you like house plants, these are some awesome plants to grow. I have them inside and they're in full bloom right now. Beautiful pink flowers and millions of clovers this color coming up. And these are just coming out of the ground now. So then we got a little more of the sunflowers and some hens and chicks. Got a little mint coming up. I don't like that, but somebody had it planted. You can eat this mint. Very good. I got a blueberry here. Little blue flowers here that are kind of petering out, but we're supposed to have some cool weather, so I think they'll end up coming back. Here's a lavender. Pretty small yet, but it's going to get big later on, and it's going to be right on the corner here. so it should look really good. Now, this is what I did. I actually hung this concrete stuff. It's kind of like a trellis, a metal trellis, but it's made out of galvanized steel, so it doesn't rust. Galvanized hooks. And then we got, as you can see, we got some honeysuckle coming up here, and it's only the second day of May or the third day of May. You can see it's climbing all the way up to the top, and it's about to go over to the other side, and that's fine. I want to get this whole thing covered, and I might buy another honeysuckle to put behind this rose. As you can see, our rose is just starting to bloom, and they might get inundated with rain, which really sucks, but beautiful orange rose right there. They're going to be gorgeous when they come out. And this was just a stump dipped in wax when I started it this year. And I did take a chance this year. I planted everything in my garden very early, and they did endure a couple of light frosts, but they all lived. Here's some clematis vine that I got growing, and I'm trying to train that to grow up over here, but it seems like, there we go. I just twisted it up. Hopefully that'll keep it there. See, this one's, here's a beautiful clematis flower. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's kind of behind there. It's absolutely gorgeous, And this one's a cardinal one. This is like a, what is it called? Clematis Rouge Cardinal. This is going to be red flowers once it starts really taking hold. Right now it's struggling, but it'll definitely come back. It's got nice soil. The soil's well draining, but it has a nice mix. It's the same mix I'm using with the poppies. It's the same mix that I relied on with a lot of different things. So it's just a matter of time before these really start taking off. This one has a couple of broken pieces on it. I think somebody's actually coming by and breaking these ones off, honestly, because it seems like everything's dying off. You can see just all brown. So I might actually get another clematis if this doesn't start improving soon. As you can see, it's doing really rough. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad for the first year. Got a blackberry bush right here. I want to say blackberry. Yeah, it's a blackberry bush. See how it has a smooth, no thorns? And then we got more sunflowers. And then I moved these this year because they just weren't growing in the back. And hopefully they'll grow up and they'll cover up this little area that I had to put some wood there to kind of keep the cats out, because the cats were trampling all the poppies. And my neighbor has some beautiful yellow flowers growing in their garden, in their lawn, as you can see. I had these put in this year, these rails, because it didn't have any rails, and I actually had to patch out some grass and fix this whole area, and it's really coming in nice. Let's go to the back real quick so I can show you what I got going on back there. These houses are all set up the same. They're attached to one other house. And then you have this middle area that you share with your neighbors, which is cool because we have some really good neighbors, so it works out really well. Had some tulips going right here, red tulips. Got poppies just popping up, volunteers everywhere this year, because I just had so many poppies that I put everywhere, because I was just so, and I can't tell you what half of these bulbs are, to be honest with you. I think they might be lilies. My neighbor actually gave me some tiger lilies and some lily of the valley. This is a tree that I rescued. I rescued this tree on Halloween of last year, 2024. And as you can see, it's getting some beautiful, beautiful flowers on it. Well, not flowers, but they sure do look like flowers. Beautiful leaves. And I'm guessing it's some kind of Japanese maple. It's very pretty. But it'll take a few years for it to fill out. Right now it may be looking like Charlie Brown, but pretty soon it's going to be looking like somebody else named Charlie that's a model. So whoever that may be. So I had the fire bushes back here, but I just put these in the back here, and I'm hoping they really take off. They're like a rhododendron or azalea hybrid. And they had some really nice purple flowers on it. So we're hoping this year they just grow strong and get some nice strong roots. And if they do that, they should really produce some nice flowers next year and shoot up. I'm hoping by next summer, the end of next summer, they're standing about as high as my waist. Right now they're about up to my knee. So that's about it, guys. And I'm going to show you one more thing before we go in. I'm going to show you my planter. For those of you who do not have a lot of space, you can make one of these. It's very easy. You just get these hooks from Home Depot or from Amazon. They're double hooks. I use 3 of them. And then, boom. Look at these plants, guys. These plants are absolutely healthy. Like, they're great looking. And these are all poppies in here. And then we also have some sunflowers. And sunflowers look great too. So, and these can all coexist. You know, I might not get the biggest flowers because it's a limited space. Or not the biggest flowers, but the biggest plants and biggest pods. But I'm going to get flowers and I'm going to get pods out of these. So if you don't have the space, guys, then definitely try to do a planter. Let's see if we can find Hemi. Where's my girlfriend? Sleeping. Oh, she's sleeping. Sorry. Let's go in. I'll show you. She's not sleeping. She's up now. There she is. Hey, girlfriend. How are you? How are you, little girl? And somebody gave her puppies at 9 months old before we got her and we rescued her. So that's why she has nipples now. I thought she was like 12 years old, but she's just a pup. She's 1 year old, so she had the puppies right before we got her. Right, girl? That's right. You give me your belly. You give me your belly. Yeah. That's right, girl. And she has broken bones in her knees, so we have an orthopedic appointment for next week to kind of go over that. I just want to show you the oxalis I was telling you about real quick, so you guys can see it. I'm gonna have to reach over, Emmy. Hey, Emmy, stay right there, girl. There you go. As you can see, it has some beautiful flowers on it, and it's growing in really thickly. And actually, it needs a little water.
She's like, Dad, you're in my space.
I know, girl. I know. It's okay, Wrinkly. It's okay, little piggy. We love you. We love you. We love you. We love you, Wrinkly. So, yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. This has been a long video, but I hope for the people who haven't been growing poppy, this is a informative video for you. I know there's a lot of fluff in between and a lot of little chit chat, but that's just the way I present it. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, and if you watch to the end, just know somebody loves you, and it's me. Thanks, guys. Greetings and salutations.